Log. It's the 20th of August of 2024. The time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and yeah, I've been busy today with only a little bit because I think I've worn myself out, but once the day has moved on, I found that I've got a little bit more energy, so I've started something. So this is what I've been up to. So effectively, this is the roof that I put on not so long ago on the conservatory, right? And now it needs to get bordered over like that. So what I did is I've got some batten here, which is a 3x2, which I'm actually using for my spa cladding. But before I can do that, I thought I better come in here because I can utilize it, you see. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a dead man. Now, for those of you who don't know what a dead man is, it's what you create when you haven't got enough hands or labor. Now, I like to try and do as much as I can on my own. So effectively, I'm creating a dead man so that it replaces a person. So I've got this batten here, and then I'm going to take another batten like this, right? Let me just put this like this for a second, so you can see what I'm on about. I've taken this batten, and then what I'll do is I'll attach across the top. Obviously I'll have it more equal than that, it's just a rough display. And then I will affix that batten to this batten, and effectively what that does is, if I put up a plasterboard or drywall for the Americans, right, I can utilize that to hold one side while I work on the other side, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. So that effectively replaces a human being standing there trying to hold things. And the benefits of that means that I don't need two ladders, I only need one. They will do all the hard work, hold the weight, while I do all the screwing down, or screwing up in this case, and so forth. So I'm going to make this dead man now, and then I also went out and purchased myself some plasterboard or drywall, which is to replace that. And then after I've got them all up, I'll show you this step by step if I can. If you look closely, you will see the joints have got cracks because of the movement, which has happened since I've been fixing the roof. But I can rectify that, and I will be replacing all, wherever the joints are, like such, right, where the cracks are appearing. I cut out about about an inch on either side, because it's 2-inch wide tape, and remove the paper skim which holds the drywall together. I will then fill it in with the stuff called scrim, and then I will fill over the top of it, and that sort of negates movement. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll start by putting up a full sheet there. Then I have to add noggings so that they can fix, and then again and again and again and so forth, and then eventually get the whole ceiling. At which point, once we've got the whole ceiling up, I will then do the cutting out of the paper which lines the gypsum. I will then fill it with scrim, and then I shall coat the whole lot again with a thin layer of filler or plaster, as we call it, plastering, and get that tidied up. Once that's all done, then I shall move on to these walls and fix all the water damage, as I've shown before. That's water damage from the storms. All this has to be rectified. You can see there's like movement and whatnot, and look, this is like all broken. So all this gets removed and then repaired. But as it stands right now, just do a quick overview. That needs repairing. So I lost half my roof effectively. So you can see what it looks like now, right? And then we see what it looks like in a couple of days when I get this done. Ladies, all, bye. So all I'm going to do now is quickly show you how to make a dead man. So effectively I've got a batten, this here, and I'm going to take another little piece of band and affix it to the top of this, so it makes a T, right? And that T then can hold boards like this, for example. If you look up here, you see what I mean? It'll hold it like that. So right now I'm just going to make that quickly, and in order to make that, it's only a temporary measure. I'm just using two big screws like this, 6mm diameter by 18mm length, so say 3 inches roughly. And all it takes is effectively for me to hold that in place like such, right? Then get a drill and just drill 2 pilot holes, because I'm going into the end of the grain. That's one, and that's the other. Alright, and then I take the 2 screws that I've got here and I fix them to there. Can you see that on the camera? Right, just roughly. And then I get a impact driver and just drive them in. Right. The problem is I'm spoiling an injury at the moment, but never mind. Oh, I can't get this. This is hurting my hands. Hang on a sec, I've just got to change the nib. The nib I've got in is currently not the right nib. I need a bigger nib for the screws that I'm using, because I've got big heads. Right, there it goes. Fixed. And that is what you would call a dead man. So what happens is I go up and I create a board. Say for example this is the board here. I create this dead man, and all it does is you push it in and you wedge it like that. Alright, it's now wedged, self-sufficient. That holds that side of the board. I get to work on this side of the board. It effectively replaces a human being. And then once I fix this in, I then move this along like that. Oops, maybe say to there for example, and then it will hold the drywall in place there while I fix it there, and then I can do all the fixings in between. So that's how you make a dead man. It effectively just means that you've only got 2 hands. With this you've now got 4 hands, even though they're not real. Okay, thanks for that. I'll catch up with you guys later. Take it easy. Ciao. So yesterday I was just talking to you about what a dead man does when I created one, and here we go. Boom, holding up a board, see? No hands, obviously, because I'm holding the camera and waving this one about. Ooh! But I have screwed that one in now, but that's what a dead man does. So I've got to put a noggin in over there, and then next board over, and so forth and so on. And then we're all good. So yeah, hopefully we'll get this completed today. Not completed, but at least the board's up. Because now I've got stuff insulation in there. Anyway, laters, bye. So Captain's log, it's the 21st of August of 2024. Our summer is drawing to an end. We've got about, well, weather depending, maybe another 4 to 5 weeks of decent weather before it starts turning horrible. However, we are struggling with a little bit of bad weather coming from the States. Storm Iramis. Like I said, stop cloud seeding. Anyway, I've been working on my conservatory today, and boom. So I did a dead man example, and now I filled out the boards, as you can see. I put up 3 boards. I've got 1 left, but that's for another project elsewhere. And so now that that's up, I am at peace. And like I said, weather depending. If it's raining tomorrow, I'll continue with this, meaning I'll do jointing and taping. If it's not raining tomorrow, then I'll be working outside on my spa, barbecue, chill out area. But this is how far we've achieved today. Now, normally, this kind of work, if I was doing this for a living, would have constituted maybe 10, 20, let's say half an hour, 30 minutes worth of work. I've taken all day to do that because I no longer push myself. I'm not doing that anymore. Because you know, I just don't have the energy. I'm old, I'm retired multiple times, and yeah. Anyway, so this is the deal. So once that's now taped and jointed, then it'll get sanded down. The first thing I have to do tomorrow, if the weather's against me outside, is to go along where all the screws are. So let me show you this quickly. It's the little screws, as you can see, all the way along. Yeah, they're everywhere. So tomorrow I'll come along and go check all those screws and make sure there's no shiners. We call them shiners in the trade. And effectively what a shiner is a screw that's standing proud. So that when you do go over it with a blade or a filler knife, it tends to rub against and make them shiny. That's what they call shiners. So I'll go over that first thing, and then make sure none of them are proud, and then I'll start filling them with 60 minute. So it's called Easy Fill 60 in the UK. I don't know what it's called elsewhere. So it's a powder product. You make it over with water, you make your own. It works out cheaper that way, and in theory it should dry within 60 minutes. That's why it's called Easy Fill 60, with 60 being 60 minutes. So I'll fill it, scrim it, fill it again, leave it to dry, and then I shall sand once it's dry. And that normally takes a couple of hours, because if you do a deep fill, it can take a little bit longer than an hour to dry. And once I've done that, sand it down, get it prepped up, and then start doing painting. Got to put coving in there, got to reattach the CCTV. I've also got to reconnect the electrics, which were that water damage coming down the wall inside internally between the panels. So the water came down, caused that to short out, which blew not that one, it blew that one. So I've got to change out the LED directional downlights over there on that one specifically. I've got spares because we always buy in bulk. Reconnect, remove faceplate, paint the whole shebang. So that's where we are now. Okay, I will show you again tomorrow. Take care. Hey all, so it's Captain's Log, the 8th of September of 2024, and the time is just 11:45 in the morning, and it's raining down buckets out there, so I'm not going to go cut hedges or work on the Scandinavian sparse around today because it's too wet. The wood is wet, I can't sand it, it'll have to dry out a bit first, and the hedge is in the rain. I don't particularly want to go out there and get soaked. So I've decided I'm going to come in and continue and try and finish off our conservatory ceiling that I put up not so long ago. And before I do that, I'll just go through some of the basic tools that are required. So I'll start with this stuff. This is called scrim, or scrim tape. It's like a gauze, as you can see, and that effectively gets put over the joints. So I'll put some filler on the joints, and then that gets stuck on it across it, and then gets filled over, and that causes a little bit of a structure there for it to bond against it and stops with the movement. It just gives it a bit more stiffness. The other things I require would be a blade and a scraper, and that's for the application of the tape as well as this jointing compound which I've got here. Now, to be fair, I prefer to get the powder form and then make up as I need, opposed to this stuff which is ready mixed, pre-made. I don't particularly like using this stuff because once you open the seal and you use what you have to use, if you've got anything left over and you put it in storage, it inevitably just dries out and goes off, and then you end up throwing it away, so it's a bit wasteful. But the place where I went to go purchase the filler jointing compound didn't have the powder form, so I ended up having to get that. But there's more than enough in here to do the job and a few other jobs, so I'd have to hustle. Drying time on this, 1 to 2 hours. Also, a little step ladder to stand on and so I can reach, and the sanding pad, and a whole load of sanding, well, I suppose this is the sanding scrim, beg your pardon, the sanding ceriform, and this is the sanding pads. There's lots of them. think you've probably got about 12,000 in there. It's quite a lot, big pack, and they're quite narrow, so you know they're quite thin. So, and they come in various. They range from 600 right up, I believe, to or right down. They do. There's like 600, 400, etc., etc., etc. Various grip sizes in there. So that is going to be used, and effectively all that happens is once you put the stuff on the ceiling, you then use, once it's dry obviously, you block sand it with this block sander. Okay, so that's pretty much the deal as we see. And now I'll just show you, try to find a good spot to start. I guess I'll start just over here. How I go about adding the scrim on. Obviously the first thing I'll have to do is to open this ready-mix stuff. As you can see, wet and ready to go on the ceiling. Rightio. So what I need in my hands, that's the stuff I'm going to use, and I'll go up. Don't necessarily need to have the paste in the bucket. I can apply it to my blade, like such. Alright, put that away. Next, the scrim. And what I'll do is I'm going to go up there now, like that. Put some of this paste on over the joint, as you can see, like such. Whoop, haven't got away from me. Right. Right, and I'll do that across the whole joint, and then the scrim goes on like such. I haven't got enough fingers right now, but goes onto that and like such. Come on, get on there. Over the joint. Give it a light rub to go into the, so that the filler actually squeezes through the gauze tape effectively. Right, like such. And when you get to the end of it, where you want to pretty much put your blade across it, you wake it like that, and there we go. And that's how you add that stuff. But I'm not going to show you the whole process, it'll be boring. That's just how we're going to do it. And then when you're finished getting the scrim on, just give it a nice finish, and that will be the first coat. Alright? Taking out any little bumps and stuff like that. And then once it's almost dry, we'll come back and give it another coat. Once it's dry, the coat is dry, then I shall sand it out and feather out the edges and so forth. So I'll catch up with you later. Ciao! Alright, so just a continuation of the previous video, and this is what we've done so far. So as you can see, I filled the joints. This is the first fill, nail pots, etc., etc. And so that has to dry, as I said, 1 to 2 hours. So that's pretty much the work for me done today, because it's now 1:30. So let's just say 2 hours from now will be 3:30. That's when I normally pack up. So this dries, then it gets another layer, one more skim over the top of that, and then it gets sanded out and smoothed out, and then everything gets put back together, painted, coving, blinds, you name it. So I'll show you this again once it's complete. Later's all, bye.